If it's the night before Thanksgiving, say yeah. But this is our sixth annual Strictly Sports Football Feast. Hello, friends, and welcome to the sixth annual Strictly Sports Football Feast. I am Anthony Floyer, joined by Michael Bullock. Unfortunately, good old MF Michael Fletcher will not be joining us this evening. Work commitments beyond his control. He will be back with us Friday night for NFL Friday. So, for those of you wondering where he is, that's where he is. So, all right. So, you know how we do it here on the Football Feast. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, we're going to run down the Thanksgiving NFL games and the full college football slate for this upcoming week, which is rivalry week. So this is going to be a football feast and then some. So we're going to start it with the NFL games. We'll do the three NFL games, even though one of the college games starts before the last NFL game does. But since the NFL games start first, we're going to do the NFL games, and then we'll get into the college games. So that being said, let's start it off with our first game of the week. The game that will be at 12:30 on Fox. It will be the Minnesota Vikings squaring off against the Detroit Lions at Ford Field in Detroit. Games on Fox. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews. They'll be at Ford Field for this one, and the Vikings 3-point favorites, and this is their second meeting of the year. And the Detroit Lions winning in Minnesota earlier this season. So Minnesota now leads the all-time series 71-39 with two ties by virtue of Detroit's win in Minnesota this year, 14-7. Their last meeting in Detroit last year, Detroit won that as well, 16-13. And Minnesota's last win in Detroit was the year before, 2015. That was 28-19. So I believe I have all the schematics out of the way. So yeah, I'm gonna be real honest with you. I think this is gonna be by virtue of the matchup. I would have to say this has to be the best game of the week. Or I should say best game of Thanksgiving rather. I mean, because there's NFC North Division implications aplenty in this one. You know, Minnesota leads that division, and I believe, and actually, this game is actually number two on our FPI. Matter of fact, two of our games today are in the FPI top five. Hard to believe, but this one came in at number two, Minnesota and Detroit. In the midst of Case Keenum's breakout, the journeyman quarterback has done a very good job of avoiding sacks. Since week two, when he took over the starting job, no team has allowed fewer sacks per attempt than the Vikings. And Keenum deserves a good amount of credit for that because it isn't like he hasn't been under duress. The Vikings have allowed pressure at the 12th highest rate in that span. That's not a huge knock on the offensive line because the Vikings have actually been blitzed the second most in that span. But it does make Keenum's ability to avoid sacks all the more noteworthy. And lately, Keenum's been even better. Since week six, the Vikings have allowed sacks on just 0.6% of dropbacks. Again, best in the league. That's part of the reason Keenum ranks second in total QBR this season. Like I said, when it comes to the Thanksgiving slate, this is gonna be the big game right here. I mean, North Division implications aplenty as Minnesota leads that division. I believe they're 8-2. Detroit, I believe, is 6-4. So this is a big one for Detroit because if Detroit can win this one, they'll be within a game of Minnesota, and they'll have a tiebreaker over Minnesota, going 2-0 against them if Detroit can win. But if I'm going to be real honest with you, I don't really like Detroit's chances in this one. I got to go with Minnesota here. I mean, because Minnesota's been playing very, very well right now, and I just think their body of work has just been amazing. And this team just continues to find ways to win, and they're one of the hot teams right now, and they're going to be handsomely rewarded come Friday night when we do our NFL Power Rankings as part of NFL Friday. But this, like I said, this is I don't really have a final score yet, because I'm trying to just trying to think which what's the best way to go with the score. It's going to be a close one, no question about it. Um, Actually, I do have a score for this one. It is Minnesota. I'm going with Minnesota. And I mean, they are a 3-point favorite, and I just think their body of work's been that much better. So, um, I would probably say, well, this, yeah, because I usually I get a score. I do get score dirt sheets. I'll definitely have that come Friday night. But if I had to go with a final score, this is just a preliminary score. I might change it, but I definitely like Minnesota here. I'm leaning maybe. I probably would say maybe 27-24. I think would be the best final score for this one. But I definitely like Minnesota in this one. Wouldn't be surprised at all if Detroit were to somehow win, but because they've been doing well on Thanksgiving the last few years, so we'll see what happens. But I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings, 27-24. Should be a great game. I'm looking forward to it. Can't think of a better way to start off the Thanksgiving slate of games. So that being said, Michael Bullock, come on in. Minnesota, Detroit, Thanksgiving Day, Ford Field. North Division implications aplenty here, especially for Detroit, because if they win, even though they're a game out, they'll have a major tiebreaker over them if they end tied. So think about that.
Yes, definitely. Hey, what's up, everybody? Of course. I mean, I want to. I mean, I mean, certainly, definitely a great way for everyone to start their Thanksgiving Eve with us here, and certainly a great way to before you start eating the turkey and all that, all the good trimmings and stuff. You got a nice little football talk with us. So yeah, great way to start it off. So yeah, this game is definitely going to be the best of the three games for Thanksgiving Day tomorrow. Um, yeah, Minnesota continues to impress me, and people have been wondering. I mean, are they going to stick with Case Keenum as the starter or go with Teddy Bridgewater? And they stuck with Case Keenum, and I think that's the right decision. I mean, I think he's been playing very well so far this season, and yeah, I mean, you kept wondering how this offense was going to be once their rookie um, running back Dalvin Cook was lost for the season, and the offense seems to be doing just fine without him. And also, the defense continues to play well, and yeah, I mean, the Detroit Lions. I mean, they definitely need this game here if they're going to keep pace with the Minnesota Vikings in that NFC North. So yeah, I mean, it's tough, but I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings here. I think this is going to be a close one here, and yeah, I'll go with that same score, 27-24. Yeah, I think Keenum will have a solid game uh, in this game, but definitely keep keep an eye out on Matthew Stafford. You know he's going to throw this team on his back and hope to try to steal one here. And like you just said, I wouldn't be surprised that if Detroit somehow pulls it out on Thanksgiving Day. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on to our next Thanksgiving Day game, which will be on CBS.
Hmm. Yes. Now that I think about it, I'm actually gonna. I said I was gonna change that final score if I wanted to, and I'm gonna do just that. 31-28. That's what I'm leaning more towards. I'm leaning more towards 31-28, and I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to a field goal at the end. Don't be surprised, or maybe even OT. So
That's what I was thinking too. I mean, who knows? Maybe there's a possibility this game goes to overtime.
very possible indeed. So let's move on to our next one. This will be a 4:30 kickoff on CBS. It'll be the Los Angeles Chargers squaring off against the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Hello, friends. Jim Nance, Tony Romo going back home to Dallas for a second time of the season. And of course, Tracy Wolfson will be there as well. And the Chargers are two to 2.5 point favorites. 2 to 2.5, the spread in favor of the Chargers. Chargers have won the last two meetings in this series. They won 2 in a row against Dallas. So the last meeting was 2013. That was in San Diego. Chargers won 30-21. Last meeting in Dallas was back in 2009. Chargers also won that 20-17. And believe it or not, the last time the Dallas Cowboys beat the Chargers at home, you got to go all the way back to 1990. 1990, the last time the Cowboys won at home against the Chargers at the old Texas Stadium, 17-14. So, and this game, by the way, came in at number 3 on our FPI game, our FPI top 5 games of the week. So with all that being said, all right, Bullock, Chargers, Cowboys, Tony Romo, of course, going back home for the second time because he was there for that Kansas City game as well. But more importantly, as far as this game is concerned, I mean, Dallas, they've been stinking up the joint since Ezekiel Elliott got suspended. Chargers catching on at the right time, and oh boy, did they put a whooping on my Bills and Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, that was not pretty. Shall we say that? Whew. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Dallas, I mean, they haven't looked good in the last 2 games, especially on Sunday night when they got blown out by the Philadelphia Eagles 37-9. And I mean, can you say right now that they pretty much miss Ezekiel Elliott? And it's not just Ezekiel Elliott. There's another key person that's missing, all-pro left tackle Tyron Smith and linebacker Sean Lee. So I guess you could say the Chargers are catching the Cowboys at a right time here. So, and like you said, they've won 4 of its. They've won 4 of their last 6 games. But yeah, I mean, but they really need to start winning some games if they have any chance at making the playoffs. And yeah, that defense, I mean, they had a field day with your starting quarterback Nathan Peterman, where they picked him off 5 times, and Melvin Ingram had a fumble recovery return for a touchdown, and that Chargers offense outgained the Bills 429 to 393. So yeah, I mean, you could say the Chargers, they've been playing well. So as tough as this is, I'm actually going to go with the LA Chargers to win this one. I'm going to say my final score is, I'm going to go 23-20 is going to be my final score here, and I expect the Chargers to continue to keep on rolling. So, Florio, it's yours.
Don't sleep on the Chargers as a potential playoff team. The bottom of the group of playoff caliber AFC teams is relatively weak, so Los Angeles still has a 23% shot despite being 4-6. Why is LA still in business? Because FPI thinks the Chargers are actually quite a good football team. The 8th best football team going forward, in fact. The model believes Anthony Lynn's squad is more than 2 points better than average on both offense and defense. Los Angeles also has what would appear to be some easy games coming up against Cleveland, the Jets, and Oakland. And the Chargers' chance to reach the postseason would improve to 35% with a win tomorrow from Thanksgiving. All season long, we've seen glimpses of a great LA Charger team, although their win last week was more of a product of the pitiful play, and I do mean pitiful, of Nathan Peterman. It's clear this team must be taken seriously despite their subpar 4-6 record. The Cowboys, on the other hand, are limping through the second half since the suspension of Ezekiel Elliott was reinstated and Tyron Smith exited the lineup. The offense hasn't been able to get going. Although Dak Prescott is doing everything in his power to keep the machine going, it simply hasn't been the same as we saw earlier in the year. And as luck would have it, the Chargers own one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. More specifically, they've done an outstanding job of getting after opposing passers. They currently have the 3rd most sacks on the year with 30. And that means Prescott will spend yet another game running for his life. It will be close, even with the defensive edge the Chargers own. When all is said and done, though, a costly turnover will stall a late-game comeback attempt by the Cowboys, and a loss makes the playoffs all the more unlikely for one of the NFL's biggest disappointments of 2017. I agree with you, Bullock. I'm going with the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm sorry, I'm so used to Still used to saying San Diego, but it is what it is. I got the LA Chargers winning 28-24. That's my final score. Give me LA in that one. And then from there, one last NFL game on Thanksgiving night, and I certainly hope you folks will have eaten a lot of turkey or ham or what have you at that point. I mean, and hopefully, and if you do, hopefully that tryptophan or whatever that thing is that makes you weary. Hopefully it wears in, because this is a game that I think is going to be an absolute snoozer of a game. Because you got the New York Giants, the dud New York Giants, even though they picked up a big win last week, squaring off against the Washington Redskins at FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. 8:30 kickoff on NBC. Al Michaels is going to be there with Chris Collinsworth, and I'm sure Michelle Tafoya will be there as well. And the Redskins are 7 to 7.5 point favorites. Giants lead the all-time series 98-66 with 4 ties. They split both meetings last year, both teams winning on the road. So that means the Giants won in Washington last year, 1910. And the Redskins' last home win against the Giants was the year before, 2015. That was 20-14. And I believe I've pretty much taken care of all the schematics. And of course, this game did not make the top 5. Shocking. But neither of these teams have been very impressive this season. Both have fallen well short of the expectations set forth in September. And chances are we don't see either playing during the postseason. Still, someone needs to win this one as we work our way through November. My gut tells me the Washington Redskins. While the New York Giants proved last week they're capable of being a potential playoff team in Kansas City, I'm far from convinced they can do it on a weekly basis. Furthermore, they pulled off the win against the Kansas City Chiefs team that has been floundering as of late. Meanwhile, almost every one of the Redskins games this season has been close. Despite the lack of wins, Kirk Cousins has done his thing, often carrying the offense along with Chris Thompson. Defense hasn't carried its weight, which is a big reason why Washington is in this position in the first place. I'd like to think this would be an exciting, hard-fought divisional showdown. When I look at what these teams have done in 2017, though, it leaves very little to be excited about. The Redskins win in what I think will end up being a low-scoring game. So I'm going to go with the Washington Redskins to win. My final score, 13-10. That's all I'm going to say. Bullet, Giants, Redskins to close out Thanksgiving. Yeah, this is going to be a snoozer. Hopefully everybody will be full of that tryptophan or whatever that stuff is.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make it short and sweet. I'm not gonna waste any time on this match. I'm just gonna go with the Redskins to win this one. 17-10 is gonna be my final score. I mean, I'll still watch it just because it's a Thanksgiving night game, but I don't think it's gonna be that interesting. So,
oh no,
yeah. So that's gonna put a wrap on the Thanksgiving Day matchups in the National Football League. Now let's turn to the top 25 in college football, and as we like to say, it's rivalry weekend.
Yes, sir. Rivalry weekend is here, and we're going to start it off with a game that will be going down tomorrow night as well on Thanksgiving. It'll be at 7:30 on ESPN. It's the Egg Bowl. The Ole Miss Rebels will be scoring off against the number 14 Mississippi State Bulldogs, Davis Wade Stadium, Scott Field in Starkville. And this game's going to be on ESPN. And bear with me while I get the announcers. While I get my announcer sheet for this. It should be up, but if not, then I'll go with. Oh, actually, it is up. Okay, great. Okay. It's going to be, I believe it said Dave Fleming on this one. Yes, it'll be Dave Fleming with Greg McElroy and Laura Rutledge. They will have the call. And Mississippi State, 14.5 to 15-point favorites. So, Michael Bullock, we kick off the rivalry week schedule with you here. Ole Miss, Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I mean, it's definitely one of the best rivalries in the another one of the top rivalries in the SEC, and with the annual tradition of the Egg Bowl, and Yeah, I mean, I think this should be a good game that goes down on Thanksgiving night. But yeah, I mean, I just think Mississippi State looks really impressive so far this season, and yeah, yeah, I mean, this week, I mean, this meeting, I mean, I've heard is more intense than it's ever been. As a matter of fact, I mean, get this, Florio. I mean, I just heard this. In fact, the athletic directors from both schools sent out a request to fans, hoping to prevent emotions from boiling over on Thursday. So, and this is what the athletic director said. In the spirit of sportsmanship, we ask that fans from both schools honor the storied rivalry with civility and respect for each other. So that's how intense this game is. So yeah, so the Bulldogs are looking for their third 9-win season in the past 4 years under Coach Dan Mullen, and led by junior quarterback Nick Fitzgerald. I mean, he's had a good season with passing for over 1,700 yards and 15 touchdowns, and he's almost at the 1,000-yard rushing mark on the season. So yeah, so that's the concern for Ole Miss going into this game. Yeah, so yeah, I got to go with the uh, Mississippi State to win this one, to win the Egg Bowl again. I'm going to say my final score is going to be 35 to 20 is going to be my final score. So yeah, nothing more to say. I give it to you, Florio. Who's going to win this latest version of the Egg Bowl?
Mississippi State, 2 touchdown favorites. Nick Fitzgerald playing very well. And you remember, Mississippi State took Alabama to the limit and then some. A game that we all felt they should have won, but you know, they choked it away, and it is what it is with that. So, but yeah, I mean, really nothing more to say on this. We got a full slate here. We're not going to get too much into some of these games because there are bigger games that we definitely need to get into, and but I'm going to go with Mississippi State. I probably would say maybe 28-14 or maybe 27-13, something like that. But I got Mississippi State winning this one, no doubt about it. So let's move on to the Friday slate of games. Now we got 4 games on Black Friday, and we're going to start it off with a high noon game on ABC. The now number 2 Miami Hurricanes, the U, all the way up to number 2 now. They're going to be squaring off against the Pittsburgh Panthers at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. ABC will have this game, and it'll be Bob Wischusen with Brock Huard and Allison Williams. They will be in Pittsburgh for the U and Pitt, and the U comes in as 13.5 to 14-point favorites. Not a big surprise at all, and I believe I've covered all the schematics here, so I don't have any doubts about this one. It's Miami. It's the U. Even though they got tested by Virginia. I mean, they got tested by Virginia and then some, but they pulled away late in the game and they won it. I believe it was like 44-28 or something like that. I mean, Virginia literally had them on the ropes for a good portion of that game, but it was all Miami all the time, and I think they'll continue to flex their muscle here against Pittsburgh. Although I do consider this a bit of a trap game because Pitt, despite them being 4-7, I think they can give Miami fits, especially with the game being at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's a tough place to win, college or NFL. So, but I'm sure. I mean, I do know Malik Rozier and Homer and the rest of those guys. I think they'll bounce back and, well, not really bounce back. They'll just continue their winning ways. But Pittsburgh, they'll watch out for them. I mean, that's all I can say on that. Even though they've had some end zone issues after losing to Va Tech, running game needs work for Pitt, and really all I can say on that. So I'm going to go with Miami to win. I'm going to say maybe 31-14. I'm going to say that 31-14. I'm going to go with Miami to beat Pittsburgh and run the regular season table, and then heading into that humongous ACC championship game against Clemson, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going with the U. I'm going to go 31-14. So, all right, Bullock, can the U keep up their winning ways against Pitt at Heinz Field?
Oh, I think they will. I think they should have no problem with Pitt. I'm going to say 30. I'm going to go 34-14 is going to be my final score here. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a tune up for their ACC title game come next Saturday. Because, I mean, believe it or not, Florida, next Saturday's championship Saturday. I mean, go figure.
No, really? I didn't know that. Just kidding.
Boy, you had me on that one, man. Yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So, yeah, so let's move on to another 12 o'clock game that's going to go down on Black Friday.
Oh, yeah. The Baylor Bears, the hard times Baylor Bears, going up against the number 12 TCU Horned Frogs at Amon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth, Texas. FS1, Fox Sports 1 will have it. Justin Kutcher, Mark Helfrich on the call. TCU 24.5 to 25-point favorites. All right, Bullock, who do you like in this one? I wonder.
Yeah, well, once upon a time, I mean, this Baylor team, I mean, was relevant, and now what are they? Just a dud team. That's all. So TCU is just going to wipe the floor with Baylor. So I'm not going to waste any more time on this. Floor, what's yours?
Yeah, it's TCU, no doubt about it. Kenny Hill and Turpin and the rest of them. No, they'll have no trouble with this whatsoever. TCU all the way. I would probably say maybe 52-17, someone like that. TCU, no trouble with Baylor whatsoever. Okay, this next game, this is a big one. This is one of our games of the week here. Not the game of the week, oh no. But it's one of our games of the week for absolute sure. 3:30 kickoff on ABC. The South Florida Bulls and the number 15 UCF Knights at Spectrum Stadium. I believe that's in Orlando, Florida. That will be on ABC following the Miami and Pittsburgh game. It'll be Adam Amin with Dusty Dvorak and our old friend Molly McGrath from here in New England. And it is UCF, a 10 to 10.5-point favorite here. Huge stakes in this one. This is for a trip to the American Athletic Conference Championship game. This is for the Eastern Division Championship. Now, okay, the undefeated Knights and once beaten Bulls meet Friday for a certain spot in the conference championship game against Memphis and a possible berth in a New Year's Six bowl game as the representative from the group of 5 conferences. Knights were number 15 in last week's CFP rankings ahead of Memphis at 21 and Boise State at 25. USF did not make the rankings this week, but was number 22 in the media poll and number 19 in the coaches poll to UCF's 13 and 12 respectively. Fortunately for the Bulls, the CFP rankings are the ones that matter, and a 28-24 loss to Houston on October 28 knocked them out of that. And these two teams don't exactly like each other. USF resisted even agreeing to the series that would have matched up the two young programs in the 90s. The Bulls have dominated this series since it was initiated in 2005, winning the first 4 matchups in 6 of 8, with last year's win adding to the rivalry's fire. Bulls pushed across a late score to expand a 10-point cushion to a 48-31 final after the Knights turned the ball over on downs in the final 2 minutes. Though both teams are the leaders in the conference in 2 key areas, USF is number 1 in both scoring defense and total defense, and UCF is number 2 in those same categories. And it sets up for an offensive show led by 2 top quarterbacks. UCF's Mackenzie Milton, the conference's total offense leader, running and passing for 330 yards a game and 293 through the air. And then USF with their quarterback Quentin Flowers, 6th in the AAC in both rushing and passing. yeah, those two young men are going to have humongous games. I can honestly see that. This is going to be a very high scoring affair. But I got to go with UCF. I think UCF is by a smidge the better team, and they're at home. So I think Milton will outplay Flowers, and I think this is going to be a very high scoring affair. I'm going to say UCF wins it. I'm going to say my final score. I'm going to go 44-41 in favor of UCF, and they will go on to play Memphis for the American Athletic Conference title matchup. So UCF wins it. Michael Bullock, come on in. USF, UCF, American Athletic East Division title on the line, and a date with Memphis in the conference championship on the line here. One of our games of the week for absolute sure.
Oh yeah, this is a big game here, especially to see who's going to be playing for the American Athletic Conference Championship next week. So, and UCF, I mean, they got a lot to prove as well, because I'm pretty sure the school is probably saying, "Hey, we're undefeated too, and yet we're not even in the talk of the college football playoff." But well, yeah, but the thing is, I mean, they're not like a Wisconsin or an Alabama or what. And of course, this is not what the bowl games used to be when we had the BCS with the. And if we were still doing that, then who knows? Maybe UCF would have gotten some recognition. So, yeah, but they certainly got a lot to play for here, and this should be a good one. And I'm gonna go with UCF as well. I mean, they've just been very impressive this season, but yeah, I mean UCF. I mean, with if they can run the table, they could possibly be in a New Year's Six bowl game. So yeah, so all they gotta do is run the table, and who knows, they'll be in that in a New Year's Six bowl game. So yeah, they'll be led by uh Mackenzie Milton, who's having a really who's having a really good year. And yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on to our final game of our final game on this Black Friday.
And you'll start it off there, Bullock. This will be at 8 o'clock on ESPN. We got the number 25 Virginia Tech Hokies and the Virginia Cavaliers at David A. Harrison III Field at Scott Stadium in Charlottesville. ESPN will have it, and it'll be Jason Benetti with Kelly Stufer and Chris Budden. They will be on the call, and Virginia Tech, a 7 to 7.5 point favorite. So, all right, Bullock, the Battle of Virginia here. Virginia Tech and Virginia. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, of course, Virginia Tech. They move back into the top 25, and they'll be looking to. And yes, this is the 99th time that Virginia and Virginia Tech will be playing each other and playing for the Commonwealth Cup, and Virginia Tech will be looking to make it 14 consecutive wins over the Virginia Cavaliers. I mean, they've pretty much had Virginia's number the last 14 times that they've played them. So, but don't yeah, but in Virginia 6-5 overall, 3-4 in the ACC. They're having its best season since 2011. Although this will be Virginia coach Bronco Mendenhall's first taste of the. I mean, well, his first taste of the rivalry was a sour one a year ago, where they got walloped 52-10. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes out. And the Hokies, I mean, they need to win here and then win their bowl game to secure their second straight 10-win season. So, and that would be a huge accomplishment. and the defense has been really good. They're ranking 6th nationally in points allowed per game and 17th in total defense. Of course, led by junior linebacker Tremaine Edwards with 93 tackles and 11 of them for a loss. And on Monday, he was selected as one of the finalists for the Butkus Award. So, and of course, Virginia's gonna. Yeah, so definitely this is a big game for both schools, but I just got to go with Virginia Tech to win this one. My final score, I'm gonna go 27-20 is going to be my final score here. So there's really nothing more to say. Florio, what's yours?
I'm going with Virginia Tech. I like Va Tech as well. Um, they're a touchdown favorite. I mean, even though Virginia did give Miami major fits last week, but I just think Virginia Tech's the better team. Honestly, this is for the Commonwealth Cup, the 99th meeting. So that means next year will be the 100th anniversary of the Commonwealth Cup. Of course, the Hokies have owned that cup. Matter of fact, they've won 13 in a row against Virginia, and they look to make it 14. And I think they can do just that. I mean, the Hokies, with what I've seen from them, I mean, Bullock, you talked about it. I mean, Tremaine Edmonds, the Butkus Award, young man. I mean, you pretty much touched on everything. So I'm going to go with Virginia Tech with Josh Jackson and Cam Phillips. And of course, the running game needs some work. But other than that, I think they'll do just enough. And I think that the Hokies can get it done here. No question about it. So I don't really have a. I probably would say maybe 24-17, somewhere in that area. Actually, hold on. Maybe I have another score here. Um, yeah. Actually, I'm gonna raise it up just a little bit higher. I'm gonna go 35-27, Virginia Tech, to knock off Virginia in the Commonwealth Cup. I mean, they've won 13 in a row. I wouldn't be surprised if they make it 14. So that's all I can say there. So we're just gonna move on to the Saturday slate of the games now, and this is where we're really gonna have some fun here. Oh, we got a lot of great matchups here. And this first one, I
Yeah,
would consider.
this is where we call the meat and potatoes of rivalry weekend.
Yeah, and what a way to start it off here with one of our sleeper games of the week. The number 7 Maine and Georgia Bulldogs. They're going to be squaring off against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at Bobby Dodd Stadium at historic Grant Field. This game will be, I believe, it's going to be on ABC, and it'll be Dave Patch with Greg McElroy and Tom Luganbill, and the Maine and Georgia Bulldogs, 11 to 11.5 point favorites. I got to go with Georgia. I mean, Georgia, bounced back from that humiliating loss to Auburn, um, winning that one. They had a little bit of a rough time with Kentucky, but ultimately Kentucky, or I should say Georgia, found a way to pull away and knock off Kentucky. So, of course, Georgia will, of course, be in the upcoming SEC championship game. Opponent to be determined. It's to be determined. All right, but nonetheless, Jake Fromm and that 1-2 punch at running back, that two-headed monster, Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. I'm expecting big games from them, just like they had this past week with Kentucky. So I'm going to go with the Maine and Georgia Bulldogs to win. I think G Tech will keep it a little bit close early. They'll give them some fits early, but I think Georgia ultimately will pull away. I'm going to say Georgia wins. My final score, I'm going to go 35-17, Georgia over Georgia Tech. So, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on Georgia and Georgia Tech?
Yeah, I got to go with Georgia as well. I mean, I think Georgia Tech will definitely give some fits early, but in the end, they'll definitely pull away and and build some momentum going into the next week's SEC championship game. Who will they play? Well, that's yet to be determined, and yeah, so nothing more to say. I got Georgia winning this one, so let's move on to our next high noon game, and this, my friends, is what the definition of rivalry is for this next game.
In past years, it would be considered the game of the week. Well, not this year. It is, however, in my opinion, the number 2 game of the week, even though one of the teams is not ranked. We have, get ready for this, and I wish MF was here. Ooh, boy, do I wish MF was here, because he would have gone full on hype man mode for this one. The number 9 Ohio State Buckeyes and the Michigan Wolverines, Michigan Stadium, the Big House in Ann Arbor, on Fox. The A team of Fox will be there. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, Jenny Taft, and Ohio State, 12 to 12.5 point favorites. All right, Bullock. Since MF is here, you're gonna have to be you're gonna have to soldier up for Michigan here. So this is it, my man. The game that you and MF both have circled in blood red, just like I do with Notre Dame and USC. So Ohio State, Michigan, the Big House. Have at it.
Oh yes, this is the game that this is the game that I look forward to every year. The rivalry game I look forward to: Ohio State and Michigan, and this is a big game for Ohio State. It's a big game for both schools, but it's a big game for Ohio State because, I mean, let's face it. I mean, a win and I mean, a win. I mean, who knows? They could. I mean, a win and they play for a spot in the Big Ten title game, and who knows? Maybe they still could be in the college football playoff conversation. So yeah, but they need a lot of help if that's going to happen. A win over Michigan would definitely be the first thing to happen here. So a win over Michigan, and then a win next week over number 5 Wisconsin, the already determined Big Ten title game matchup. So, but for Michigan, this is all about playing for pride. I mean, yes, you are going to a bowl game, but you had high expectations going into the season. They may be out of any championship hunt, so they have the chance to play the role of spoilers here. Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. I mean, they want to restore some respectability to the rivalry, given that Ohio State has won 5 straight and 12 out of its last 13 meetings. None more painful, and the one that really pained me the most was that 30-27 double overtime loss in Columbus last year. I mean, that robbed the Wolverines of playing for really big prizes. I mean, man, what a game that was last year, Florio, when these two played.
Man, Star Classic, Shakespearean drama, greatest Ohio State Michigan game ever.
Yeah, and Michigan's that they're still thinking about that tough loss from last year. So yeah, of course it's tough, but I gotta go with unfortunately I gotta go with Ohio State to win this one. I'm gonna say my final score is 31 to 20 is gonna be my final score. But I'll tell you what. I mean, I've seen crazy things happen on rivalry weekend. I mean, a lot of them. And I would not be surprised if somehow Michigan if they can get the upset, and if they win it, man, this is one they can really remember for the rest of the season. So yeah, so Ohio State wins, but watch out. I've seen some crazy things go down on rivalry weekend, and I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan pulls out the upset. So I got nothing more to say. Florio, who takes this?
Ohio State, that too. I have no question about it. I mean, you pretty much touched on everything there. Ohio State has owned this rivalry, like you said, winning 5 in a row, 12 out of 13. And of course, we'll never forget that 5-star Shakespearean drama classic a year ago in the Horseshoe. Curtis Samuel, the hero. We all remember that. That 30-27 double overtime thriller that I said and that I strongly still believe is the greatest Ohio State Michigan game of all time. This time around, I don't think we're going to get a sniff of that this time, especially if Michigan's going to have John O'Korn as their quarterback, because let's face it, he's terrible. So you got JT Barrett and company. So, I mean, Bullock, you pretty much touched on everything. So I'm not going to go into any further detail on that. Ohio State wins. My final score, I'm going to go 38-24, Ohio State over Michigan in the Big House. Should still be a lot of fun, though. That's definitely a game worth looking forward to. Like I said, it's my number 2 game of the week based on the matchups and the whole 9 yards. So, yeah, nothing more to say on that. I got Ohio State winning. Now we go to another dud game of the week here. High noon on Fox Sports 1. The number 19 Oklahoma State Cowboys at home at Boone Pickens Stadium in Stillwater hosting the Kansas Jayhawks. This game's on FS1, and on the call for that one will be Sean Kelly and Brian Baldinger. They'll be working that game, and yeah, you don't want to tune into this because Oklahoma State is a 40.5 to 41 point favorite in this one. So we're not going to waste any time on this. It's Oklahoma State all the way. Mason Rudolph, James Washington, Justice Hill. Enough said. Oklahoma State, Laffer, Bullock.
Yeah, Oklahoma State all the way. So, yeah, there's really nothing more to say about this one. But now,
well,
now
we have another high noon game, Bullock.
Oh! I thought we
going. Hang on.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's East Carolina, Memphis. I completely forgot about that. I jumped the gun there. So
I don't blame you. I don't blame you for jumping the gun. I mean, it's another meaningless meh game anyway. But we got to talk about it. High noon on ESPN University. The number 20 Memphis Tigers at home at the Liberty Bowl Memorial. They're going to be hosting the East Carolina Pirates on ESPN University. Ryan Ruocco and Ray Bentley will have the call, and Memphis, a 28-point favorite. All right, Bullock, who you like here? I wonder.
I'm just gonna say, you said Memphis is a huge favorite.
28 points.
Yeah, that's easy to say. Memphis all the way. Nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, it's Memphis. Riley Ferguson, he's going off. He's gonna have a huge game. So there's nothing more to say on that. Memphis, Laffer. All right, Bullock. Now
let's get to the game of the week.
The main event, baby. No doubt about it. The SEC on CBS. Their game of the year. Game of the week. The most anticipated Iron Bowl of all time. The number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide and the number 6 Auburn Tigers. Jordan Hare Stadium in Auburn. The SEC on CBS. It's the second half of an SEC on CBS doubleheader. Well, actually, no. They had the other games on Black Friday, but we're not going to talk about that because neither of them are ranked. But SEC on CBS, you know who's working it. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Allie LaForce. They will be there. And Of course, Alabama's the favorite. 4.5 to 5 is the spread for Alabama. And what is, like I just said, the most anticipated Iron Bowl of all time. Reason being, this championship. Winner of this game wins the West and will also win a date with the Maiden Georgia Bulldogs for the SEC championship at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium next Saturday, December 2nd. I believe we have all the schematics out of the way here, so here we go. For the first time since 2013, the Iron Bowl features a winner-take-all matchup for the SEC West Division. The winner of the Iron Bowl has played in the national championship game in 7 of the last 8 years. Alabama-Auburn was already one of the top rivalries in college football, but the recent history and these kind of national championship stakes has pushed this into another stratosphere. Alabama holds a 45 to 35 with one tie advantage in the series and has won 7 of the last 9 meetings. You add the Iron Bowl with the possibility of an SEC West championship, it feels like 2013. It feels exactly the same way. It's a big game and it means more. In 2013, Auburn used the infamous kick 6 by Chris Davis, as the legendary Vern Lundquist eloquently said on that night. Kick 6 game to defeat Alabama, thwarting the Crimson Tide's chance at 3 straight national championships. That season, Auburn defeated Missouri in the SEC championship and then came a few seconds away from claiming the national championship in a tough and demoralizing loss to Jameis Winston in Florida State. Playing the top team in the country is nothing new for Auburn. Just a couple weeks ago, the Tigers welcomed then number 1 Georgia into Jordan-Hare. The Tigers blitzed the Bulldogs 40-17 in a game that wasn't even close. Auburn comes in with an explosive offense. Running back Kerryon Johnson leads the SEC with 1,172 yards and 16 touchdowns. Alabama, number 4 in the SEC in rushing yards a game, almost always features a strong running game under Gus Malzahn, who, despite some of his spread principles, believes teams must be physical in the run game. And this season, transfer quarterback out of Baylor, Jarrett Stidham, has given the Tigers a downfield passing game they have not enjoyed in years. Stidham, a sophomore, has thrown for 2,445 yards with 16 TDs and 4 picks, and leads the SEC in completion percentage at about 68. Auburn has well over 200 yards rushing in 7 of its last 8, with the exception being a 189-yard effort in that demoralizing choke job loss to LSU. Tigers have been over 300 yards 4 times, including last week with 317 against Louisiana Monroe. Alabama, however, has the number 2 rushing defense in the country, limiting foes to about 87.5 yards a game. The Tide, of course, love to run too. Alabama leads the SEC in rushing yards, 270 a game, yards per carry, 603, and rushing touchdowns, 35. Which team can run, stop the run, and control the line of scrimmage? And injuries could play a role. Alabama's All-American safety Minkah Fitzpatrick sat out last week's game against Mercer because of a lingering hamstring issue. He was expected to practice through the week, Nick Saban said on Monday. Starting guard Ross Perschebacher hasn't been cleared as of Monday, but was considered day-to-day. And Saban did not rule out linebackers Terrell Lewis with an elbow, Christian Miller with a biceps, and Mack Wilson with a foot. For Auburn, linebacker Trey Williams suffered a shoulder injury last week. Maya Dinson was going through concussion protocol early in the week. Williams has dealt with shoulder issues since the second game of the season, but still has 40 tackles in 8 games, 6th most on the team. Dinson has 42 tackles, including 2.5 for loss. This is it. Game of the week. One we're all looking forward to. I strongly believe in my heart of hearts this is going to be not only a 5-star Shakespearean drama classic, but I believe this is going to go down as the greatest Iron Bowl in the history of the Iron Bowl. Even better than the infamous Chris Davis kick 6 game from 4 years ago, which I still consider the greatest one to this day. But this game, I think, is going to make that game look like an absolute squash. So I know everybody's saying Alabama. I know everybody's going to say, oh, it's Alabama, it's Alabama. Let me tell you something. After Auburn upset Georgia a couple weeks ago, after they beat them down the way they did, Derek Ferrera and I had a little Facebook comment chat, and Derek said, and he believes in his heart of heart, I'm sure he still believes it. He thinks Auburn could pull this off. And you know what? I think they can too. Because remember, that same week, a couple weeks ago, Alabama nearly lost to Mississippi State in Starkville. Of course, they beat up on Mercer. That was expected. Just like Auburn beat up on Louisiana Monroe. But those warm-ups are done. This is the big one. Time for talking is over. I'm going for the upset. I'm calling for it. I'm going with Auburn. Besides, it's in Auburn anyway. If the game was in Tuscaloosa, then I would have gone with Bama all day. But with this game being in Auburn, I think Auburn has not only a realistic chance, but I think they can get it done. Stidham's been playing wonderful. That running game with Kerryon Johnson has been amazing. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, wow, you're going for the upset? Darn tootin', I'm going for the upset. Give me Auburn to win. 31-30 is my final score. Auburn over Alabama. 5-star Shakespearean drama at its absolute finest. And to me, the greatest, again, this Iron Bowl will go down in history as the single greatest Iron Bowl ever. Book it. Michael Bullock, how do you follow that? This is going to be the greatest Iron Bowl ever. Boy, howdy, I can't wait.
I think everybody around the U.S. Can't wait for this. I mean, a lot is at stake. I mean, not only college football playoff implications, but also who gets that trip to the SEC championship game and a date with the Maine and Georgia Bulldogs next Saturday. We've seen a lot of things go down in this great rivalry, and like you said, the one that really stands out to me was the one where Chris Davis called by Vern Lundquist, which led to Auburn upsetting Alabama. And the thing is, and here's something you should know right here: the winner of the Iron Bowl has played in the national championship game 7 of the past 8 years. Alabama Auburn was already one of the top rivalries in college football, but the recent history in these kind of national championship stakes has pushed it to another atmosphere.
I already ran that down, Bullet. So just give
yeah. So, you made a lot of points, Florio. I mean, and you know what? I mean, to me, I know the spread favors Alabama, but to me, if I was doing this, I would have it as a pick'em, because this could go either way, and especially with Alabama, struggled in its in its game last week, and Auburn, with the way they've been playing lately, it's a possibility that they could definitely pull off the upset. So after hearing what you said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm pulling the trigger as well. I think Auburn is going to upset number 1 Alabama. And my final score, I'm going to say 30-27 in overtime. That's how I see this going. It's going to take overtime to determine the outcome of this matchup. So nothing more to say. I can't wait for this. This is the game I'm going to definitely have it's going to have my full attention on Saturday. So nothing more to say. Let's just move on to our next 3:30 matchup. Florio, you there?
Okay. I do apologize for that. Just froze for a moment. So, all right, let's get into our next matchup here. I believe Bullock, you started out. The number 5 Wisconsin Badgers. They're going to be going up against the Minnesota Golden Gophers at TCF Bank Stadium. You remember the Vikings played there a couple times, a couple years before they opened the U.S. Bank Stadium, of course. This game will be on ABC. It'll be Mark Jones with Rod Gilmore and Quinn Kessenich. They'll be on the call for that one. Just looking for my spread notes here. You would have to think Wisconsin has to be the favorite here. I mean, it's because of their body of work and the whole 9 yards. So before I give you that, Bullock, I'm just Wisconsin at Bank Stadium. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Wisconsin to win this one. I mean, I think they should have no problem with Minnesota. So I mean, there's really nothing more for me to say. So I'm just gonna give it to you, Florio.
I gotta consider this a bit of a trap game if I'm gonna be honest with you. Because Minnesota's been playing some good ball, despite being 5-6. I mean, yeah, Wisconsin's gonna be the favorite, of course, but I'm just trying to find it here. Oh yeah, Wisconsin a big favorite, 17 to 17 and a half. I think Minnesota can give them some fits early, but I just think ultimately Wisconsin will win it here. I mean, Alex Hornibrook's been playing very well. Of course, Jonathan Taylor, who I think should be in the trophy conversation. And from there, you also have that defense that's been playing well. So I'm going to go Wisconsin. 34-17, Wisconsin over Minnesota. So, with that being said, let's just move on to another Big Ten matchup. This one at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network. The number 10, Penn State Nittany Lions. They're going to be going up against the Maryland Terrapins at Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium. Big Ten Network is where we're going to find this game, and working that one will be the Big Ten Network's A team of Kevin Kugler, Matt Millen, and Lisa Byington. And Penn State, I do believe Penn State is the favorite. Oh yeah, 22-point favorites for Penn State. We're not going to really waste too much time on this. It's Penn State. I mean, Penn State finally stopped bleeding a week ago against Nebraska. After those back-to-back losses to Ohio State and Michigan State, those two demoralizing losses that really cost them a chance at the playoff. But I think they're still good enough for year 6. So I'm gonna go Penn State here. I think they'll get it done behind, of course, who the two-headed monster that is Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley. So really nothing more to say. Big games for both. Penn State should win rather handily. 41-21. That's my final score. Give me Penn State all day over Maryland. How about it, both?
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I agree here. I got Penn State winning this one as well. So yeah, this one's not even going to be close. So let's just move on to the next game.
And you're going to start it off, Bullock. 3:30 on the CBS Sports Network. the number 23 Boise State Broncos against the Fresno State Bulldogs at Bulldog Stadium in Fresno. Now, this game will be on the CBS Sports Network. It'll be Rich Waltz with Jay Feely and our old friend Jenny Dell. Hey, you remember Jenny Dell, our old friend?
Who doesn't forget her?
Yeah, and I got to meet her 4 years ago. So lucky him.
And actually, one of my Special Olympics friends, I think, has actually met her. Chris Lucier has met her.
Yeah, Chris, absolutely. A good friend, Chris Lucier. Anywho, Boise State is the favorite. They're 7.5 point favorites. So Boise State back in the top 25. They had an easy win last week, so I think they'll be a little bit tougher against Fresno State.
Yeah, I mean, and let's just say, I mean, this is not the first time. I mean, they're going to meet here, but then again, next week they'll meet again for the Mountain West championship next week. So let's just say this is going to be a little bit of a tune-up before they face off for the championship next week. I mean, of course, both of them clinched their respective divisions in the Mountain West last week. So, yeah, so they really got nothing to play for in this one, but next week will be for real. So I still think this is definitely going to be a good one here. No doubt about it. So, yeah, yeah, I mean, it's good to see Boise State back in the top 25. I mean, yeah, and yeah, so I think this is going to be a good one. I mean, I got Boise State winning this one. I'm going to say 27-20 is going to be my final score. So, yeah, I mean, Boise State's defense, I think, will play really good because they are ranked 12th in the nation by allowing 17 points a game, and their offense is putting up almost 35 points a game with quarterback Brett Ripien and wide receiver Cedric Wilson. Ripien has 14 touchdown passes with just 4 interceptions, and Wilson's caught 58 passes for 1,008 yards. So I think they'll be the reason why Boise State wins this game. So, yeah, nothing more to say. Flory, what's yours?
Yeah, you touched on everything there, but I got to go with Boise State as well, behind Ripien and Wilson, like you said. So I'm going to go 31-24, Boise State over Fresno State. Should be a good one. So let's just move on to our next matchup and another one of our top games of the week here, about 3:45 on ESPN. The number 4 Oklahoma Sooners at home at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. They're going to be hosting the West Virginia Mountaineers. Now this game on ESPN. And Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Tom McShay, they will have it. And Oklahoma, 22.5 to 23-point favorites, even though they're going to be without their quarterback, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was suspended for this game because of obscene gestures, inappropriate gestures he made towards Kansas in their blowout win over Kansas last week. So, but even with that, I'm still going to go with Oklahoma. I mean, they're just too good. And, 22.5 to 23-point favorites, even without Baker Mayfield, that says something. I mean, they're that good without him. I mean, oh boy. Kyler Murray is going to be the starter for Oklahoma. After, of course, we all know Baker Mayfield, the obscene gestures. I'm not going to go into any further details on that. I mean, if you saw what happened, but he should be ready. But I'm sure he'll probably back. He'll be back under center for the Big 12 championship when they go up against TCU. For that, so
I still think Kyler Murray will still have a solid game, no question about it. And Ronnie Anderson, Trace Sermon, and that Sooner offense should have no trouble with West Virginia. So Oklahoma, I say they'll do it. I'm gonna go 37-13. Oklahoma over West Virginia, despite no Baker Mayfield. So, all right, but Oklahoma's still huge favorites even without Baker Mayfield. That's still that says a lot.
Yeah, I got the Oklahoma Sooners winning this one. I mean, I still think the offense is going to play well, even though Baker Mayfield. I mean, he will play but not start. So I'm gonna basically. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna go 31 to 31-14 is gonna be my final score here. So yeah, nothing more to say. Let's move on to our first 4:00 matchup.
Yeah, there's two of them, and they're both in the Big Ten. So we got the number 16 Michigan State Spartans going up against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights at High Point Solutions Stadium in Piscataway, New Jersey. This game will be on Fox, and it'll be Brian Custer with Ben Lieber and Jennifer Hale. They will have the call of that. And Michigan State, 13.5-point favorites. So, Michigan State going up against Rutgers. I suspect it should be an easy one for Michigan State.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an easy win for Michigan State, and here's the thing. I mean, a win for the Spartans. I mean, they would have a complete reversal from last season because they went 3-9, and a win, and they would end up finishing 9-3. I mean, go figure where this team has come along from last year. So, yeah. So, I mean, I think this will, like I said, this will be an easy win here, and a win for them would secure at least a tie for second place in the Big East division. And of course, I think running back L.J. Scott will have a solid game on the ground, and yeah. So yeah, I mean, and of course, their defense, which has allowed only 109 yards per game on the ground, I think will definitely play really well. So there's really nothing more to say. So Floria, what's yours?
Yeah, I got Michigan State as well. They should have no trouble with Rutgers. I mean, they're 2 touchdown favorites. You said about L.J. Scott, and of course their quarterback Ryan Lewerke. I expect them to have both have big games here, so they should have no trouble with Rutgers. I would probably say maybe 24-10 Michigan State over Rutgers. And the other 4:00 game on Fox Sports 1, also out of the Big Ten, we have the number 22 Northwestern Wildcats against the Illinois Fighting Illini, Memorial Stadium in Champaign, Illinois. FS1 will have that game. Justin Kutcher and AJ Hawk will be on the call. And the spread favors Northwestern by 16.5. Surprised it's not higher, but it is what it is. Not going to waste time on this. It's Northwestern all the way. Clayton Thorson, I'm expecting him to go off big. So Northwestern, no troubles over Illinois. They're the doormat of the Big Ten anyway. So give Northwestern, laugh for 30-13. How about it, Bullet? Okay with us? Bullet?
I'm here. Yeah. We talking about the next game?
Northwestern is in Illinois.
Yeah, I got Northwestern winning this one all the way. They should have no problem with Illinois. So, yeah. So, let's move on to the first of our big games in prime time.
Yeah, we got 4 games left, and they're all big ones here. So, Don't fade away on me, Paul, because we're almost there. The number, yeah, this is gonna be a good one here. Another one of our games of the week. Of course, Alabama and Auburn is the game of the week. Ohio State, Michigan, number 2. I'd probably say maybe this is number 5. I'll put this maybe at number 5. The number 3 Clemson Tigers. The number 24 South Carolina Gamecocks. Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. This game will be on ESPN, and on the call for that will be Joe Tessitore, Todd Blackledge, and Holly Rowe. They will be on the call for that one. And Clemson, a 13.5 to 14-point favorite. So, well, like a nice little trap game for Clemson as they get ready for the U and what I think will be the most anticipated and most exciting ACC title game in maybe ever.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a trap game here, and one that Clemson definitely should not take lightly here. I mean, they shouldn't look ahead to the big game against the U next week. Like you said, one of the most highly anticipated ACC championships in a long time, because I think South Carolina could definitely give them some fits, and Dabo Swinney, I mean, a victory here for him against the Gamecocks would make him only the 4th coach to win 100 games in his first 10 years, joining a select group in Bob Stoops, Urban Meyer, and Chris Peterson. But despite all that success, Dabo Swinney's only 4-5 against South Carolina. Winning the Palmetto Bowl ranks high on Swinney's list of priorities, and the significance of the state championship game isn't lost on the Tigers coach. And Swinney basically is well aware of the intensity of rivalry week, especially with someone like South Carolina. South Carolina lost last year's game at Clemson 56-7, but the Gamecocks were a 6-6 team under first-year coach Will Muschamp. This year, South Carolina has reversed its fortune, building an 8-3 record by winning 5 of its last 6 games. So, and the Gamecocks, they basically rely on a solid run defense to keep games close, then hope that sophomore quarterback Jake Bentley can make plays. So, yeah, and Clemson, of course, they boast a deep and talented defense that ranks 2nd nationally in sacks, 3rd in scoring defense, 6th in tackles for loss, and 7th in total defense. So South Carolina must contend with a diverse Clemson offense that once again ranks among the best in the nation, despite losing quarterback Deshaun Watson and several other stars off last season's national championship team. Junior quarterback Kelly Bryant makes the Tigers go, and he's blessed with a multitude of weapons, including receivers Deion Kane, Hunter Renfrow, and Ray McLeod, and big play running backs Travis Etienne and Tavian Feaster. So both teams are playing good football, which has heightened anticipation for the showdown. So South Carolina is playing for an attractive bowl bid and would love nothing more than to play spoiler to Clemson's national championship hopes. So yeah, I think this should be a real good one, but in the end, I got Clemson winning this one. I'm going to say my final score. I'm going to go 31. I'm actually going to go 38 to 27 is going to be my final score here. I mean, South Carolina's going to keep it close, but in the end, Clemson's definitely going to pull away. So nothing more for me to say except Florio, what's yours?
Touchdown, man. It's Clemson. I gotta go Clemson here. I do think South Carolina will give them fits. Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. You made all the great points. You touched on all the necessary numbers. So, yeah, it's Clemson, man. No doubt about it. I will probably say maybe 37-24 will be my final. 37-24. I'm gonna go with Clemson over South Carolina. Now we move on to a 7:30 kickoff on the SEC network. This will be Texas A&M squaring off against number 18. Texas A&M Aggies and the number 18 LSU Tigers at Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge. SEC Network will have it. Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, Cole Kubelik on the call. LSU at 9.5 to 10-point favorite. This is another sleeper matchup here. I could call this, like we call it on the NFL show, one of our high leverage games here. I mean, since LSU suffered that embarrassing loss to Troy on September 30th, they've won 5 of their last 6, and they need a victory over Texas A&M to put squarely into play an attractive bowl bid in the 10-win season, which would be an amazing resume builder for LSU head coach Ed Orgeron. But first, LSU must not look past the Aggies, who despite back-to-back wins must deal with speculation that coach Kevin Sumlin, after 6 seasons in College Station, is in the crosshairs of the program's big-time boosters. Reports are that Sumlin may be fired after this game. Texas A&M went 11-2 in Sumlin's first year in 2012, but the Aggies dipped to 9-4 the following year. In the last 3 years, have each gone 8-5. A loss to LSU would guarantee a 4th straight 5-loss season. Making it tougher for Sumlin is LSU's recent track record against the Aggies. LSU has beaten Texas A&M 6 straight, including the last 5 when the Aggies were a member of the SEC. Texas A&M has a $9.8 billion endowment and aggressively put $500 million into upgrades to Kyle Field to compete with the powers of the SEC. So there's little doubt it is a serious player in the college football arms race. The Aggies are believed to be looking seriously at Florida State coach Jimbo Fisher if someone is fired. Ed Orgeron, meanwhile, has at least temporarily put the Hounds at bay by winning 5 of his last 6, a streak that has coincided with the return to form of tailback Darius Geis and pass rush specialist Arden Key. Key is questionable to play against the Aggies because of a sore knee, but Geis has been healthy for the last month and his play has reflected it. Key missed LSU's entire spring practice for undisclosed reasons and then had surgery on his shoulder, which caused him to miss the first 2 games of this season. He was overweight when he returned and did not regain his form until the Auburn game. He has since lost 20 pounds and is playing at 250. He's recorded 33 tackles and 4 sacks in his 8 starts. And Orgeron revealed that Geis, who got those slow starts, suffered a knee injury in the preseason scrimmage on a play on which he tried to leap a defender. He said Geis did not get back to 100% until October 21 against Ole Miss when he shredded the Rebels for 276 yards. And under former LSU defensive coordinator John Chavis, the Aggies are the best pass rushing team in the SEC with a league high 36 sacks. A lot to think about here, but at the end, I got to go with LSU. I mean, Geis has been amazing. I think Danny Etling will have a solid game at quarterback. I think ultimately LSU will find a way to win it. I'm going to go 27-17 LSU over Texas A&M at Tiger Stadium under the lights. You know how tough it is to win under the lights in LSU. So that's all I got to say there. So Bullock, Texas A&M and LSU.
Yeah, I think this is another trap game here. I mean, yes, LSU is playing well, but Texas A&M, like you said, is a team that definitely LSU doesn't shouldn't take lightly here. So yeah, I mean, you pretty much I think this is more of a big game for Texas A&M because there are some reports are swirling that Kevin Sumlin, who was basically in the crosshairs of the program's big-time boosters. I mean, yeah, I mean, what do you think, Florio? Do you think he'll be fired after the game if whether they win or lose?
If they lose, yes. If they win, I don't know. We'll see. But if he loses, he's gone.
I agree with you too. I mean, if they lose, he's gone. But if they win, I say they bring him back at least one more season. So we'll just have to wait and see how this game plays out. So, but either way, I got LSU winning this one. I'm gonna go 27 to 27-20 is gonna be my final score here. So yeah, nothing more to say. So let's move on to well, another big game in prime time, and one that I'm sure you're going to have a major vested interest in, Florio.
Unbelievable. And you let me handle the details on this one because this is my team after all.
I'm just going to keep it short and sweet on my end and let you take care of it since this is your team.
Yeah, but you started off. You start off with your thoughts anyway. Let me set it up. The number 8, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, squaring off against the number 21 Stanford Cardinal, Stanford Stadium, Palo Alto, California. 8 o'clock ABC, Saturday night ABC game of the week. And you know who's working this. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Maria Taylor. And I have to check and see. And it's Notre Dame. Notre Dame, a 2 to 2.5 point favorite. So Bullock, Notre Dame, a nice bounce back against the Navy. Stanford, though, they have a monster running back in Bryce Love. And as a Notre Dame fan, I'll openly admit it, I'm scared.
Yeah, like you said, this was a nice bounce back win for Notre Dame. And yeah, Stanford, they got a lot to play for in this one. Like you said, Stanford could still play in the Pac-12 championship game. I mean, yeah. But they're definitely, if Washington wins the matchup we're going to be talking about, Stanford will advance to the Pac-12 title game. So a big game for Stanford when it comes to this. So, but in the end, I think Notre Dame, I think it's going to make it 2 in a row. And I'm going to say my final score, I'm going to say 31-28. Notre Dame beats Stanford, and yeah, I mean, a win will definitely guarantee them a berth in a New Year's Six bowl game. So even though, I mean, at the beginning, I mean, with the way they were playing, it looked like they should have been in the college football playoff. But hey, a New Year's Six bowl, not bad either. So nothing more to say. Florio, I give it to you, and could it be 2 in a row for the Fighting Irish?
I certainly hope so. I mean, compared, you remember where this team was last year. This team finished 4-8. Other times, I was very disappointed. But if they go 10-2, what an incredible bounce back that would be for Notre Dame. They would be far and away the most improved team in college football this year. They're the biggest surprise, biggest improvement. But let's get into the details here. Number 21 Stanford will try to focus exclusively on number 8 Notre Dame when the teams play at Stanford on Saturday. However, undivided attention might be impossible because the game more important to the Cardinals' Pac-12 championship hopes will be taking place 800 plus miles away. And that's going to be a fun game in just a minute. Yes, Stanford will be facing Notre Dame in a network televised game between 2 ranked foes, with Cardinal running back Bryce Love perhaps making his final statement for the Heisman Trophy if he plays. All that typically is enough to create tunnel vision, especially since it is the final regular season game for both teams, with Stanford trying to finish the regular season unbeaten at home. But the Cardinals' conference title hopes rest with Saturday's game in Seattle between number 13 Washington State and Washington in the Apple Cup. If Washington wins, Stanford will go to the Pac-12 championship against USC in Santa Clara. If Washington State wins, then Washington State will face USC for the Pac-12 championship. Stanford's game and the Washington State game both start at 5 p.m. local time. And Coach David Shaw said, yeah, they'll be scoreboard watching to a certain degree. They can't worry about what happens on somebody else's field. Either we go to the Pac-12 title game or we don't. The game at Stanford means more to the Irish. Although a spot in the college football playoff is out of reach for Notre Dame, a victory Saturday night would almost guarantee the Irish a berth in the New Year's Six bowl. Even with Stanford's attention diverted, recent history suggests the Irish will have a tough time. They have lost 6 of the last 8 games against the Cardinals and have not won at Stanford since 2007. Notre Dame is coming off its 2 worst performances of the season, a 41-8 loss to Miami that took the Irish out of the CFP picture, and a 24-17 home victory over Navy which held a 7-point lead midway through the third quarter. In both games, quarterback Brandon Wimbush started slowly, 2 of 10 with 2 interceptions in the early going against Miami, and was just 1 out of 5 against Navy. He became more active as the game wore on. Wimbush will get running game support from Josh Adams, who ranks 14th nationally in rushing yards a game at 121.5. But Wimbush might be without receiver Equanimeous St. Brown, who is questionable for the game as he goes through concussion protocol. The most important injury issue belongs to Love. He has been bothered by ankle injuries for much of the second half of the season. He was at less than full strength against Cal and had to be replaced in the fourth quarter. He will probably suit up against Notre Dame, but how much he plays and how effective he will be remains to be seen. Love still leads the nation in rushing yards a game at 172.3, while averaging almost 9 yards a carry. Love rushed for 101 yards against Cal and had his 11th run of 50 yards or more this season, the most in FBS history. If Love can't play or Stanford's running game is neutralized, more pressure falls on redshirt freshman quarterback J.J. Costello, who is expected to make his 4th straight start. Brian Kelly was pleased with his team's run defense against Navy, even though Midshipmen had the ball for 42 minutes and 42 seconds, compared with just 17 minutes and 18 seconds for the Irish. Navy ended the game ranked number 1 nationally in rushing, 370 yards a game, and 19 yards a carry at about 6, but Notre Dame limited the Midshipmen to 277 yards and about 4 yards a carry. So, if Love doesn't go, it's an easy one for Notre Dame. Notre Dame will have a much easier time. But if he does go, then if Love does go, then it's going to get a lot tougher for Notre Dame. But I think ultimately, Notre Dame can find a way to win. It's a tough game. I wouldn't be surprised if Stanford were to win, considering the game's at Stanford. If this game was at Notre Dame Stadium, I would have no qualms about going with Notre Dame. But I'm still going to go with them. It's a reluctant pick. I can't say I'm fully confident, but I think in the end, though, I think Notre Dame will find a way. I'm going to go a little lower on the scoring. I'm going to say maybe 27-24 Notre Dame over Stanford. Should be a good one, though. Definitely will have a major vested interest. Absolutely will get spot on there. Thankfully, we don't have any pay-per-views to worry about, so I can definitely have my full undivided attention on that one. And now our final game of the week, 8 o'clock on Fox, the Apple Cup. Perhaps the most anticipated Apple Cup of all time. This is our number 3 game of the week. The number 13, Washington State Cougars, and the number 17, Washington Huskies, at Alaska Airlines Field at Husky Stadium. Fox will have it, and it'll be Joe Davis with Brady Quinn and Bruce Feldman, and Washington, a 10 to 10.5 point favorite. It's all about the Apple Cup. It has been assumed all season that the Apple Cup was going to carry heavy meaning this year, and it does. Just not for the program that was part of last season's CFP. A spot in the Pac-12 championship is on the line for these two teams on Saturday in Seattle. A victory over the Huskies will allow the Cougars to win the Pac-12 North for the first time. If Washington wins, Stanford will win the North, and they'll take on USC. And Washington State coach Mike Leach, he's well aware of the ramifications, but downplay the fact that any extra motivation is at work. The Huskies were the team that was supposed to be the big player in the North, but losses to Arizona State and Stanford took care of their title aspirations, both in the Pac-12 and in terms of returning to the CFP. That has led to the Huskies season to be viewed as mildly disappointing. That doesn't sit well with Coach Chris Peterson. The Huskies have controlled the Apple Cup of late with 7 victories in the last 8. And spoiling Washington State's title game hopes of being able to record a second straight 10-win season sounds good to Washington junior quarterback Jake Browning. Browning became Washington's career leader with 77 TD passes, but he tossed 2 in last Saturday's 33-31 over Utah. But his number is 2,451 yards, 18 TDs, 5 picks, pale in comparison to those of counterpart Luke Falk. The Washington State QB has passed for 3,224 yards and 29 touchdowns against 10 picks. An old school and Pac-12 record for career passing yardage, 14,117, and passing touchdowns, 118. Falk, the senior, also has 29 300-yard passing games, including topping 411 occasions in 23 games of 3 or more TD passes. Junior receiver Tavares Martin Jr., 65 catches for 759 yards and 9 TDs. Sophomore running back James Williams, 59 for 383 with 3 scores. And sophomore wideout Isaiah Johnson Mack, 57 for 535 TDs. All have caught more than 50 passes for an attack averaging 33 points a game. And reaching their averages could be challenging for the Cougars, as the Huskies have been sturdy on the defensive side all season. Washington ranks 4th nationally in total defense, 271.5 yards a game, 5th in scoring defense, 14.5, and 8th in passing defense, 168.4. The Husky secondary was bolstered by the return of freshman quarterback Brandon Murphy, with the Utah game after he missed the previous 7 games with a broken foot. Cougars can also play a little defense as they rank 11th nationally by giving up 304 yards a game. Washington State ranked 2nd in the country with 94 tackles for losses. Standout defensive lineman Hercules Matiafa has ranked up 21.5 of those stops behind the line, 3rd best in the nation. Junior has 41 tackles and 9.5 sacks as the headliner of the unit. The Huskies also have an elite player to boast about in senior Dante Pettis, who has returned 4 punts for touchdowns this season and holds the NCAA career record of 9. First Apple Cup was in 1900, and it ended in a 5-5 tie. Wow. Very tough. Very tough. But considering this game was in Washington, considering that Washington has been, winning these Apple Cups as of late, I'm going to go with Washington to win. I think Washington did find a way to win it here. That should be a great one. I'm going to go 30-27. Washington over Washington State. If it was the other way around, I'd go with Washington State. But this game being at Washington, I have to go with Huskies. So 30-27 behind Browning and Gaskin. Boston had a big game, but I just think Washington will find a way to get it done. So give me Washington to win the Apple Cup. 30-27. So look, your thoughts on this most exciting of Apple Cup matchups? I'll be there.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to unmute my mic. So, yeah, this is a big game for both teams. I mean, it definitely has a lot at stake, especially who's going to be in the Pac-12 championship game come next week. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Washington to win this one as well. I'm going to say 34-27. Washington beats Washington State and moves on to the Pac-12 championship game next week. So, yeah, there's nothing more to say. So now let's move on to the Power Bowl.
Alrighty. There are some changes, of course. So, you know our disclaimer. Our rankings are not necessarily reflective of the AP. Of the college football playoff rankings. Just to clarify. So, let me see who we have. Like I said, there's going to be definitely be some new additions, no doubt. So, just gotta see what I have here on my list. Okay. Powerful. Okay. All right. Penn State. They took care of Rutgers. I should say Nebraska rather. So wait, we have TCU in there. All right. I'm gonna say like this. I'm gonna have. I think I'm gonna have a tie at number. And there's actually gonna be a couple of ties in here. Maybe in the early going. TCU, yes. Yeah, that's it. Going number 10, Penn State and TCU. Penn State, they took care of Nebraska. Um, the Big Ten championship no longer in play. Losing out. But they're looking for New Year's Six bowl. Easy win over Nebraska to finally stop that bleeding after that 2-game losing streak to Ohio State and Michigan State. But so I believe this is their season finale, going up against Maryland. Yep. Regular season finale. Actually, they won 2 in a row against Rutgers and Nebraska. And it was a wild affair with Nebraska. They won 56-44. But they're still in there as my number 10, and I'm also going to put TCU in there as well. I mean, they had an easy win over Texas Tech, 27-3, and they got Baylor on Friday. They should win that handily, and then I believe we'll see them in the Big 12 championship against Oklahoma, which should be a solid matchup. And so I think that pretty much says it all there. So I'm going to go Penn State and TCU, number 10. Bowler, how about it?
Yeah, I agree with you. Penn State, TCU, they're my number 10s as well. So yeah, so let's just move right along to number 9.
Okay, number 9. I believe there's going to be another tie here. Yeah, I believe this should be the last one. Yeah, this is my second tie. USC Trojans and Notre Dame. I got Notre Dame back in the rankings. That bounce back win over the Navy. Of course, USC. They had a bit of time with UCLA, which was expected, but other than that, they got it done. They took care of UCLA 28-23, and now they'll be playing for the Pac-12 championship against either Stanford or Washington State. I think it's going to be Stanford myself, but it is what it is. But this next time we'll see SC, and then from there Notre Dame coming in at number 9. Put them back in. The body work is just too good. We put them out last week because of that awful performance against the U. After the U literally put them under siege, but it was a nice bounce back for Notre Dame to defeat the Navy 24-17. So this is their last game against Stanford, and we'll see where the scheduling. We'll see what the committee puts them when it comes to the bowl announcements, which the bowls will be announced on December 3rd. So go number 9s, USC and Notre Dame. Michael, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree with you. USC and Notre Dame are my number 9s as well. So there's really nothing more to add to it. So let's just move right along with our number 8.
Alrighty, number 8. Fern, a return to the power ranking, to the power poll rather, for Bulldogs. I got Georgia back in at number 8 after they took care of who was that, Kentucky, and I mean their body of work speaks for itself as well, and we put them out last week because of that awful performance against Auburn, but they bounced back 42-13 over Kentucky. 1 game left. We'll break their regular season finale at Georgia Tech, and then of course the SEC championship against either Alabama or Auburn. So I do want to check one quick thing. I just want to make sure I have this right. It's between them and Ohio State. I will admit it. It's between them and Ohio State, and I want to check on Ohio State's body of work, see if it's better. So yeah, Ohio State had an easy win over Illinois. I believe they won 2 in a row, and Georgia won. Yeah, it's Georgia. Georgia made the Georgia Bulldogs number 8. What do you say? Well, Mike. Oh boy, okay. Okay. Is that out? 2 more minutes.1 minute. All right. I don't have the bullet. I don't know what you still have a bullet there. Maybe the Bulldogs number 8. The Bulldogs, I don't know if you're back in yet. Mind if you are. Oh Lord. All right. I'm just gonna have to run the table here. Just waiting for Will to come back in. I don't know if he stepped out or where he is, but yeah. So all right. I guess I'm just gonna have to run it here. Just run the table the rest of the way. So no worries. Okay, let's see. I had Georgia at 8. Number 7 is Ohio State. Ohio State Buckeyes number 7. Winners of 2 in a row. 52-14 beat down Illinois. That was expected because Illinois is the bottom feeder of the conference. Michigan next. And of course the Big Ten championship against Wisconsin. But again, that's going to be really looking forward to that one. So I'm going to say there Ohio State 7. And let's move on now to number 6. And my number 6, Auburn. Auburn Tigers. Easy win over over Louisiana Monroe. I believe it was like 42-13, somewhere in that area. And of course, the most anticipated Iron Bowl of all time coming up against Alabama. Again, I think they can win. I think they will win. And they'll go up against Georgia for the SEC championship. So there's really nothing left for me to say on that. So I'm going with Auburn at number 6. And now we're going to move on to number 5. And this is where I have the Wisconsin Badgers. Wisconsin Badgers, number 5. Had a bit of a tough time with Michigan, but ultimately they pulled away from Michigan, knocked them off. So that was a 24-10 final over Michigan. They got Minnesota next. Again, I think they can win. And then, of course, the the Big Ten championship against Ohio State. So, really not left to say there. So, Wisconsin, number 5. Let's move on to number 4. And at number 4, well, actually, no. I'm gonna make it a little independent here. Actually, my number 5 is Clemson. Clemson is my number 5. They played a meaningless game against the Citadel. They pounded the Citadel. I think it was like 61-3 or something like that. Of course, they got South Carolina coming up, trap game. And then from there, of course, they got the U in that most anticipated ACC title clash of all time. So Clemson comes in at number 5. Number 4, I go with Oklahoma. Number 4. Speaking of easy wins, another easy win for Oklahoma. And an easy win over Kansas, which is not a big surprise because Kansas is awful. Bottom feeder of the Big 12. 41-3 there. West Virginia next. I think they'll win that even without Baker Mayfield. And then we'll see them in the Big 12 championship, most likely against TCU. So Oklahoma's number 4. Number 3, this is where I have Wisconsin. Wisconsin. With that hard-fought win over Michigan, 24-10. Minnesota next. And then we'll see them in the Big Ten championship against Ohio State. And then we move on to number 2. Number 2. Sorry, but I got to go with the U here. I know we had the U at 1 last week, but I got to drop down to 2 this week because, they had a bit of a tough time with Virginia. They had won a little more decisively. Maybe I would have kept them at 1, but they got tested by Virginia big time, 44-28. Pittsburgh next. They should win that. And then Clemson after that for the ACC title. That's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see how that one turns out. So Miami is 2, and number 1, Alabama. I got Alabama back in the top spot. They took care of their business against Mercer. 56-0. Easy win over. Very easy win over Mercer. You knew there was no way they were going to lose that. Of course, Auburn next. Biggest Iron Bowl ever. If they win that, then it's on to Georgia. Or if not, then we'll see what bowl they'll be in. But man, that's going to be something to watch, something to see. So, Alabama's number 1. Well, I don't know where you are. I don't know if you're around. I think we lost him. So we're just gonna wrap it up here. We want to also very much for tuning into our 6th annual Strictly Sports Football Feast. We hope you all enjoyed it. we're going to have our very special shout outs here. Of course, very special shout outs to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there. We continue to make our shows so first. Yeah, we appreciate it as always. Best fans in the world, of course. You know, where's Dee Woodson, Kevin Woodson, and the Woodson family. Dee Woodson, who we she had to change of plans, so she'll be back with us Monday night for a ridiculously off. So can't wait to see her for that. Of course, family, of course, Matt Ward, Jason Nixon, Daniel Charlotte in the UK. As of other men, still living with battle as the crew members. Tommy Suzera, Gary, Jimmy, Alvin Alvarez, and Rob Parsons, and of course, Little Anna Flacio coming with us this evening, and of course, Derek Ferrell, right on 445. All of our other shout outs, you know. Personalities from 6, 10, and 12. ESPN FS1 and NFL Network, and the ATV NFL Network, and MLB Network. There's a relatively McCormick, Julie Alexandria, and Tom McKay from the Golf Channel. And my friend from Road Show, will be with Brendan Curtin and Taylor Johnson, former co-host Mary Larson. And then Willie now back on television as part of NBC Channel 10. Last but not least, the wonderful church family over at Oasis Grace Ministries, of course, Silver Spring Street, Providence. The BA Church home, check them out, exit 25 off Route 95. Sunday morning at 10 Bible study, Saturday at 9 Bible study, and then 10 a.m. service. And Wednesday 7 Bible study, and there's a lot of things going on. So, yeah, so, and of course, before we wrap up, we want to wish all of you out there a very happy and blessed Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to Lloyd, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody else out there, and FP, and all of our crew. Very special day, very beautiful family holidays of the year. We look very forward to celebrating with our loved ones. What it's all about. It's more than the dinner. It's more than that. So, really more to say on that. So that's it. So until Friday night for NFL Friday. So Anthony Fletcher here, for Michael Bullock, and it's very good on the Michael Fletcher, D. Woodson, Derek Ferrera. You know who it's everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, go to 44 style. Bye for now, my friends.